All right. Hey guys, it's Dev Pirate Radio, a podcast about getting shit done and pushing our limits. Every 2 weeks, we get together and discuss our solutions to the previous challenge. We encourage anyone who's interested in playing around in programming, game development, writing, and any other development challenges. Each challenge should be accomplishable in about an hour's worth of work. In a few hours worth of work, we should say. The challenge will be presented at the end of every episode. A person can spend as much time on the challenge as they want, but it will be due at the time the next podcast airs. Then the solutions will be discussed, including the whys and hows on air. And if you guys want to join in, you're absolutely welcome to present your own solutions, and we'll even talk about them on our show. And my name's Pete Nixon, and with me as always is Matt.
Excellent.
Party on, Matt.
Party on, Garth.
Wait.
I mean, Peter. And 5, 4, 3, 2. No, you don't say 3, 2, 1. You...
Stop, Matt. Just stop. You're hurting people.
No. People need this. All right. So our last challenge. Oh, I'll let you talk about it since it was your challenge.
Okay. So last week, the challenge that I put out to everybody was to develop a game outline, just a generic 1 to 3 page outline of what you would like, a game you would like to make. I provided a template on our blog and on our posts. Hopefully that was helpful to someone. But me and Matt are just going to talk about ours right now because nobody else submitted theirs yet.
And so the links will be in. I guess I'll put the links in the video when the video's done.
Good call.
They're also on the. Oh no, they're not there yet because we don't have that post yet. When we make the follow-up post to this, we'll have the links on there also.
Perfect.
All right, so research done. I didn't do any research.
I also did no research.
I did, however, use a different game design template than thou.
I noticed you even had a bit of a log entry at the top.
Yeah, well, that log is not necessarily, that log is more for the game design than it is for just the game. But if you want to use it for your logging all those work you do on the game, you can do that also.
Okay.
Which is kind of a normal thing that I think is good for developers to get in the habit of, so that people know when, what changed and why it was changed. Because let's say you did a game design, and you're like, I really like this game design, but I'm too busy right now. And you come back to it a year, and you're like, wait a minute, didn't I want to do it this way? And then you change log, and you'll see what you did and why you did it.
It's not a bad idea. I also like the idea of progress bar. One of my favorite authors, Brandon Sanderson, he does a progress bar on each of the books that he's currently writing. And it's pretty cool to watch that go up as it's being developed.
How do you do a progress bar?
You just...
just do it?
Yeah.
Just thumb it?
Yeah. You probably just use Microsoft Paint or something like that.
All right, so...
let's start with yours.
I guess we'll start with mine. Mercs. Now, this was heavily inspired by a game I played in the mid-90s. Back then, I was really poor and I couldn't afford the full version, so I only got like the $5 shareware version. And it was, I don't remember what it was named, but it was like a top-down space game where you explored space. I'm pretty sure it was Apogee.
Where you explored space? Did you have space battles and all that?
Yeah, you had space battles, but it all took place in like 2D top-down action.
Yeah. I
you
remember
could upgrade
that
your
game.
ship, you could upgrade your engines, you could upgrade your weapons, upgrade your shields. Like you can upgrade like a lot of things on it. And but traveling from one planet to the other, it would be in like real game time. Like you wouldn't be like, oh, I want to go to this planet, and then it goes, oh, we're loading the planet now, and then you go to the planet. It was, oh, I want to go to this planet. Oh, there it is, and you have to control your guy all the way there. And I know a lot of people might think that that's boring, but I thought it was fun, and I thought it was cool.
I don't know. People liked the fact that when you were playing the original TIE Fighter video game, that as far as you flew out into nowhere, that's how far you had to go to come back. So I don't know. I think that's cool. And I think
it's cool too. Plus, there's EVE Online, and that's really successful, and that has kind of the same thing. Where if you're going to travel from one place to another, it's in actual real time. Like, not like, I mean, obviously space travel doesn't exist yet, but you know, if it's going to take you like 10 light years, your engines have to like pump that out.
Right.
If you can go like a light year an hour, it's going to take you 10 hours to get there.
Right.
So that's what I meant. Anyway, so I wanted to do something kind of like that because I thought it was really fun. Obviously, I wanted to do it in 3D this time. And I was trying to keep it really simple, but I didn't succeed.
Yeah, I see, what, 4, 5 pages? 7 pages.
Yeah, well, when I get to describing things.
Yeah, when you start itemizing all that crap, it turned out to be a heck of a lot.
Well, I wanted to get the idea of like all the screens you could do, like all the things you could do with the ship, and I wanted to do engineering and sensors and inventory, like what's in your cargo bay, and you know what weapons and all those power levels and everything like that. And so I wanted to do all of those things where you're mainly playing. It's not that bad. Like your main screen, you'll have like little mini versions of those screens, and then when you can go to those screens, and you have like a bigger control and better control over what you can do in those screens. It's like engineering. If you're like, oh no, my shields are down. Oh, let's reroute power to my shields from I don't know, navigation. I don't need that right now. I'm being attacked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or we don't need the light, the warp engines right now, so we won't even send power to those. You know, you'll be able to like do the same kind of things. I don't know if you remember Space War.
I do.
You can do the same kind of thing there, except you could just trade health for shield or shield for health.
No. Weapons and shields.
Weapons?
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Oh yeah, yeah, weapons and shields. Because you only had so many shots.
Yeah.
Anyway, same kind of thing.
Vector graphics.
Yeah. I was thinking the same kind of thing, except more options for control. But I still want to keep it pretty basic, so like you won't need to go into that too often, I don't think.
Okay.
And what's our list of things? Stephax Radio. We can discuss our. I guess we're discussing methods now, so just jumped right into that.
Yeah, well, there wasn't really much research to do into our own game ideas.
Yeah.
So,
I'll let you talk about where you got your idea for your game from. Oh, I didn't describe it.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like exactly like that. You control a ship in 3D. You travel as fast as your engines can push you, so you don't instantly travel anywhere. I'm just going to limit it at the start to a planet with a few moons, and so you can do some various tasks between the moons, where you could kill some I don't know, gang or pirate ships, and you can do that as a job, or you can suck out resources from asteroids, or you can transport things to and from locations, and you can do all those to get money, and so you can use that money to upgrade your ship. And then I was going to keep it, local between a planet and some moons, and then inside that one solar system, and I was going to do like up to 4 solar systems, and then see where it goes from there.
Okay.
But obviously, going from one solar system to another without upgrading your ship to have a warp engine would be like really slow.
You would die in space.
Well, you'd probably die in real life waiting for it.
What? Come on, what's a light year? I mean, really.
And then I wanted to have like the action where you're fighting other ships. I also wanted to have resource gathering. Wanted to give you like all sorts of options, so you don't have to do any one thing, but you can upgrade your ship any way you want, no matter what you do for a job.
That's cool. I also like the idea of maybe doing various career paths. Like you want to be a drug smuggler or something, or if you want to do just light cargo stuff, is that possible? Like,
Yeah,
is that in your game design? I mean,
it's not.
Oh.
I didn't do very much on the jobs yet.
Okay.
Basically, the jobs were just basic, I guess, like mini quests.
Mm-hmm.
Go fetch me this slipper, or go out in the woods and kill 50 wolves until you get one pelt.
Oh no.
No, not that bad, but
no, I know what you mean.
Just little quests. Anyway,
yeah.
All right, so you talked about your game now.
Okay. My idea is a third-person flying stunt racing game. And the more that I'm actually making this, the more I kind of I originally wanted to make it for Android. I might end up making it for PC first, because the controls actually seem to be working out pretty well, because I'm testing it on my computer. And so I'm designing these controls and stuff to work on the computer. That might be what I do first. Anyway.
What if you're going to build it in Unreal? PC first is just fine.
Yeah, it's not going to be that much changing between the two things. I guess computers can handle better graphics and that kind of stuff, but the controls are really the only other thing that's going to change.
You also don't need graphics that an Android can't handle.
I agree, and I'm not very good at graphic stuff, so I'm really hoping somebody will help me out with that, Matt.
I will try to help you out with that.
I
have not taken anything from Blender into Unreal yet, so I don't know the whole process. But there's a whole bunch of internet resources of people that have, so
right.
I'll get her done.
Okay, well here's a quick background for my story or for my game. You start out as an early test pilot for new technology where you fly around in a power suit. You've got these wings. You have the power suit that helps you fly. You can just fly around in free mode and play around, or you can go down the path of, say, a professional racer or stunt flyer. I really need to come up with a more catchy name. But anyway, okay, so it's all about flying. It's about going fast pace. It's about crashing dramatically and flying around and doing cool things. The way I would sell this to somebody is I would say this is like Pilot Wings meets SSX Tricky.
Yeah, you could call them Hawks, since they're gonna have like the wings and all that.
I can't spell it with an X though, and I mean, no, that was Hawks is a video game already with an X.
Well, I mean, you don't have that's. I mean, just mean the guys in the game. You don't have to name the game that.
You know, that's not a bad idea. So yeah, you fly around doing stunts, go through tunnels, fly through rings, race people to locations around things.
They said SSX Tricky, so does that mean you're going to have like speed ups for doing tricks?
Well, no, I don't think so. I don't want. I don't know about that yet. I'm open to it. I want to see what's fun. I don't want to just stick to some rigid outline. But I don't think that that's what I want. I don't want you to try and do barrel rolls to go faster.
I would think barrel rolls would be one that does too much.
But you know what I mean. I don't want it to be like Tony Hawk, where it's all about button mashing combos and stuff like that. I was kind of thinking more like wall running, because you can't really fly through a narrow cavern. Um, Sliding across, say, a sheet of metal on a aircraft carrier or something to duck under an airplane that's parked on top. There would be like sudden dodges and stuff to the left or right or up or down or whatever. I'm thinking some pretty crazy fast paced stuff, and of course, there's going to be lots of times when people crash and die pretty hard. Well, not die, because you got a power suit. You're fine. It's like Iron Man. Even if you fall from another dimension, Hulk will catch you, right?
Yeah, because that's what Hulks do.
Yeah, even in the previews of the movie.
They catch damsels in distresses.
Are you calling Tony Stark a damsel in distress?
He was.
All right, Matt.
Just because he wrote a nuke into the thing like a, what was that
like a
movie?
Like a badass.
How he learned to stop fearing the atomic bomb.
Was I never read that book.
Anyway, you don't remember that cowboy guy?
No.
Dr. Strangelove?
No, I never saw that.
Atomic bomb down. He's like, wee-haw!
Nope. Sounds crazy.
It was a crazy movie. All right. And I guess that describes your game. Your story is pretty light, but it doesn't need to have like a big story to be a good game.
Right.
And yeah, test it out to see what's fun. I mean, that's the purpose of designing to a prototype and then redesigning the game from there.
Mm-hmm.
I highly suggest, if you're going to make a game, you design up to the prototype. And once the prototype is done, you have something where you can play the general functionality that you were thinking about. You can decide what would be add to the game, what you need to take away, things to adjust, and all that. And then you just basically just do a whole new game design off of that prototype. Go through and you redesign everything.
Build it in iteratively, right?
Well, you just take what you have and you redesign again, and you take bits that you liked and you try to fix bits that you didn't like that much, and you remove bits you didn't like at all. So you basically kind of start over from scratch, but you take pieces from the old machine. And then that way, because once you get the prototype done, you can see what's fun and what's not, mostly. And then at that point, you can also figure out what you can add in that maybe is not add fun to the game, but maybe adds like a user experience to the game. Like, oh, well, what if we wanted to throw in different costumes for the player, so you can customize what he wears and stuff like that. That doesn't need to be in the prototype, but you might want to consider that once the prototype is done. Okay. Because it doesn't really add to the gameplay, but it adds to the user experience.
I
think prototypes are more for gameplay, and then you decide what kind of user experiences you can add without messing up the game.
Right. I think you discussed your gameplay already, right?
Yeah, mostly.
Okay.
Then we did a task list. I don't think we need to go through the task list. They're available for people to see.
You don't want to go over item by item, Matt? You want to make a main screen, a settings screen?
Yeah, so what I did was I have a few major categories. I have design categories, art categories, graphics categories, sound categories, programming categories. I know what you're thinking. Art and graphics? Why?
What's the difference?
I will explain my process, and you can agree or disagree, take what you want or not. I mean, that's
disagree.
The way I think everything should go.
Disagree.
Probably. I know. So for the design, that's basically just designing out the things that you need to do, like things you need to design in the game design, things that you need to do concept sketches for, and all that stuff is all just thrown into design. All the stuff you need to do in the design I think, before you should even start doing anything else.
So you're trying to save yourself from design or from making the graphics for something you're not actually going to use.
Right. I mean, well, that's going to happen, but this is going to reduce the amount of that does happen.
Right. Okay.
I mean, there's no way to work in absolutes, and there's no way to be like, I'm going to make this design so perfect I'll never have to adjust it.
Yeah.
You're going to spend too much time trying to do that, and you'll still never succeed.
Only the Sith deal in absolutes.
Right.
And apparently Jedi who say that.
Yes. And so I just have basically everything that you would need to design before you even start. And then once you have all that stuff designed, then you can move on to other things. I don't think you have to do them all in order. I think just the design one gets done first.
Okay. So let's say you get past that design part. Are you going to do, say, the art for a ship and then do the logic and programming for the ship?
No, the art and the graphics sound very similar. Graphics.
Would you say that textures and things like that would be more art, and then graphics would be more like the ship skeleton and all that?
No, I think I think I lumped in concept sketches into design, and I think those actually belong in art.
Okay. So tell me what the difference is between art and graphics again.
Okay, so art is supposed to be the concept sketches, how everything's supposed to look.
I see.
Like screen mock-ups, what you want the screen to look like when the player in the game, the design of the ship and all that.
So graphics will be things that will actually have collision and everything.
Well, those will be the things that you actually see in the game. So you get like your concept sketch, and you go, oh, well, I need to make a 3D model from this, and then you make the 3D model, and the 3D model is the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
That 3D model will have all the textures and animations and everything else.
Okay. Okay. I see your point.
And then sound, I'm not a sound engineer, so I pretty much just wing it on the sounds. I work with it until I get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. And I lump the music in with sound.
Mm-hmm. I don't get the connection.
Yeah. Well, my music, you don't get the connection.
Do you have a noise section?
No. And then and then all the programming stuff I throw in there. Programming is kind of like a catch-all for everything else. A lot of people don't really consider things like working with blueprints inside of the Unreal Engine to be programming. I would consider that programming.
Okay.
Because you're getting the program to do functionality. And I don't think it really matters whether you do that through like a completely graphical drag and drop interface or if you do it in code. I prefer code a lot of the times, but the blueprints are really nice, and they can do things that you probably would work better than the code.
Okay.
For instance, setting up a random spawn cube where things just randomly spawn inside of the cube, like I did in one of the tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
I think that works out better in the blueprints because you can edit it in real time. You don't have to compile the code every time, and you can adjust things. And on top of that, you'd be able to adjust things in real time. Even if you did it in programming, you'd still create a blueprint so you can manipulate the ins and outs of whatever it is that you did in the code.
Okay, so you might create a function in C or C++, as in like for the Unreal Engine. Yeah, and then you would use the blueprint editor to manipulate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and then there's a lot of things you can do in blueprints that really doesn't matter if you do it in code or blueprints.
Yeah, but from what I understand, as far as efficiency of processing goes, the programming is actually more efficient.
Yeah.
Or can be.
Can be. You can really mess up code.
Yeah, I'm sure you can make something that's way worse than the blueprints would do.
But if you want like maximum, code is where it is. The other things I think though don't really matter whether you do in code or not are like the animation state machines.
Mm-hmm.
You could do those in code if you wanted, but it's not going to give you a performance boost to do them in code over the blueprints.
Okay.
Because it's going to create those state machine objects whether you do it in code or not. There's the same objects.
Right.
And there's not much in the blueprints that you're going to be able, there's not much in the code you're going to be able to optimize based off of that. You're just going to be creating yourself a lot of typing.
Some people like that.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's probably going to be someone screaming, no, you can get 1.4 frames more per second. You're like, eh.
I'm surprised you didn't automatically go to troll voice for that.
I'm a troll.
No. Anyway, so I see the way you organize your stuff, and I think that this is going to boil down to the same way people do objects. Really, as long as they are logically consistent and grouped together with some sort of uniformity for the objects, I see this task list being the same. You know what I mean? Like you're doing it in steps as far as like starting at the concept, moving into the art, moving into actually making these things in 3D. Whereas I said, hey, let's start with a character and then do everything that's all the way around that character, including graphics, programming, and all that. And then we'll move on to, say, a level.
I think you'll change your tune when you get more experience.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying completely, but I think you'll update yourself.
We'll see. I'm open to changing, but for now, this makes more sense to me. Just grouping things like this.
Yeah. The way I do mine is I cut it into pieces the same way I do any programming task. Mm-hmm. Here's the big thing. All right. Well, if I try and take the big thing all at once, I'm going to either get a huge mess or a huge headache or both.
Mm.
So I take it and I just like if it's a complicated function, I immediately go to my my tasks or my specifications for the new functionality, and I just take where it says it needs to do this, and then it needs to do this, and then you do this insert, and then you need to do this, and this. And I just take those, I just make them comments inside of the function. That's all I will have at first inside the function. And then I'll just go and I'll do each thing one at a time.
Okay, and then you've already got your comments in there.
Yeah. And so that's pretty much how to do everything. I think it's one of the best skills to have as a developer is to not be able to do complicated tasks, because what you're going to do with complicated tasks, you're going to divide them up into little tasks. No matter how you do it, you can only do one line of code at a time.
Right, and computers can only do computations on ones and zeros, so you've got to break it down.
Well, you don't have to break it down that far. The computer does it for you.
It has to be broken down. So you might as well break it into human understandable tasks instead of some complicated Perl script that nobody can ever decipher.
Yeah, but that's just basically everything. Is you just if a task seems too big for you, break it down into smaller parts and then tackle each part. And then once you're done, you might go, well, I didn't need these parts, or these two parts can be combined. Then do that. It doesn't matter, but get it to work first.
Right.
And so that's why I think that's one of the best skills of indie developers, to be able to take any task and break it down into pieces that they can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And even if that's, I don't know how to do this, I will Google it. Oh, now I know how to do this. I will put this in the code.
Mm-hmm. And I think that you go.
Well, I'm saying, and that works better to go, how do I do this specific thing than how do I do this huge complicated task? You're more likely going to find how to do that specific little thing than you are this huge complicated task.
Sure. How do I solve quadratic equations in C is a whole different question from, say, how do I programmatically go through the formula to solve a quadratic equation,
Right.
Because that just boils down to, how do I multiply these two numbers together and divide them by these other numbers?
Yeah, and it's like our last challenge was date parsing.
Mhm.
If someone goes, how do I parse this data into states and then sort them? You're going to have someone that's be like, what, you want me to do your work for you? But if you go, how do I parse this date? You're going to get a lot more people, or you're going to find a lot more answers like, oh, this is how you parse a date.
Mhm. And then this is how you sort it. Those are different questions.
Yeah, but if you like ask that whole thing, you're just going to look like you're trying to get someone else to do the work for you. But if you ask for specific things, you'll probably find that there's already answers out there for it. And if there's not, people are more willing to help you figure out how to do one thing than how to do your whole job for you.
Yes, this is Stack Overflow etiquette, if you guys don't know.
Right. And yes, and be very specific in your question. Don't be all like, I have this problem with Visual Studio where I compiled something and it didn't work.
Yeah. And try to show as much of the pertinent code as you can without going too much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So our game design doesn't really match the format of the show.
It really doesn't. But I do feel like we need to keep doing game design or game. I guess after this game design, we're actually going to be moving on to tasks that will accomplish parts of our game design, right?
Yeah. After next week, I guess we can do starting next week. Every other week we're going to do a game design challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try and do them to come off of tasks from this game design.
Right. So we're going to use these design documents that we made, and we are going to work on design challenges in the future, not for this next one, but after that. We will do one every other week, and we will try to accomplish part of our game design. What else was I going to say? Don't remember.
We don't really have hacks to talk about.
No, there was nothing hacky about our outlines.
Not yet. Well, I think game design shouldn't be hacky. They should be how you envision the game, because it's sure going to change.
Yeah. There will probably be hacks in how we solve some of the problems.
Maybe. Depends.
There
might be hacks. There might be hacks, but you should clean those hacks up.
Sure, we'll start with a hack and then we'll clean it up later. That's probably what I will do because, like we said, we are time constrained.
Right. But yeah, number one, get it working. Number two, clean up the code.
Mm-hmm. And
then don't optimize. Whatever you do, don't try to optimize. Optimization is a final step. I mean, you can do some things where it's like, oh, well, this will work better than this. Sure. Mm-hmm. But don't go into full-blown optimization mode where, oh, I need to squeeze every frame out of this per second.
Right.
Optimization is a final step after you've got everything working and debugged as far as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
Then you optimize, but not before. Because optimization and then, oh, well, I need to change this to do this a different way. Well, now you optimized it, so you have to unoptimize it and then make it do it another way and then optimize it again. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it.
Right.
And sometimes you don't even need to optimize. I think for one of your first games, don't even worry about optimization. It's not a step you need to do.
Probably not.
And it's a pain in the butt, time-consuming, boring. Well, some people find it fun. I don't.
You don't like big O notation, Matt?
I just don't like optimizations.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes I do, and sometimes I'll do them for fun, and sometimes I'll do like small optimizations, or it's like basic optimizations. But going full-blown optimization mode, where you're trying to make the code as efficient as possible, is not something that I really enjoy because it takes so long. And then you have to debug everything all over again.
All right.
Too much work. All right. So we'll talk about our next challenge.
Mm.
I forgot to log in to Dev Pirates. All right. So the next challenge is going to be a database challenge.
Let me switch off your screen for a second. People don't need to see all that crap.
Stop sharing my screen. All right, there we go.
So it's a database challenge, you're saying? Is this because you knew that I had not done anything with databases yet?
That's part of it. Once you go database, you never go back. At
Oh,
least that's how it's. Database is probably the best way I have ever seen handling data. I mean, yeah, you can do some flat files for stories and stuff. That works all right.
mhm.
But I prefer it. I'm even using it in my my Android game for all of my stuff. So I have the save games, all the enemy spawn rate, all the enemy spawn locations and times, and all the animations are done in that.
Wait, so all of the levels are handled in a database?
Yeah, I loaded everything from the database. And one of the
Interesting.
cool things I do is, say, like the enemies have their own sprite sheets, and I will preload them at the start of the level. This only the sprite sheets that I will need for that level. And I can do that easily because I just look up in the database for the images I have to load as the sprite sheets, and I just grab all those, load them in. I have them all, and I can do another query to grab all the enemies, and then everything is just nice and beautiful. I love databases. Once I started using them, it was a little funky to get into them, but once I started using them, I can't imagine doing data any other way.
Oh.
I mean, I can't imagine it, and I don't like it.
What if I made a flat file that you had to interact with like a database?
Ugh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You can't do that. But
I'm sure.
it's probably better to do multiple flat files if we can do something like that. Each table is its own flat file.
And have them relate to each other?
Yeah, but it won't be as fast as a database.
No, it wouldn't.
You'd have
All
to
right.
spend the same amount of time optimizing your flat files and the program that interacts with flat files, whatever. All right. So
You know, one of these times we should try to find the wrongest way to do something that works. Just for fun. Anyway.
All right. So the basic tasks. You'll need to do at least one kind of database. For the purpose of this challenge, any SQL database will do.
Why don't you start resharing your screen? Or is that necessary?
Not necessary.
Okay. Sorry.
Any kind of database into any kind of SQL database. I'm limiting it to SQL databases. So MS SQL, MySQL, SQLite, even what's the other one I don't like? Oracle database, a DB2, just any SQL style database. And SQL is the language, structured query language, and there's a lot of different databases that use very similar structural query languages. There would be some differences between the SQLs, like the different functions that each database can perform, but basically they're all going to be pretty much the same.
Right.
If it's an SQL database, they're all going to be a lot alike.
Right. Some of them don't handle certain specific statements, if I remember from my database class.
Right.
But the majority of the functionality will be the same.
Like I love the limit keyword in MySQL, and there's not a corollary in MS SQL. Most other databases, they have what they have is a top, and to do something like limit, you have to do two tops. It's
Okay.
annoying. It's dumb. You have to do one top one way and the other top the other way. I like the limit. It's nice for paging data. Anyway, so the tasks are as follows. 1, design a DB or design DB tables in the SQL database of your choice. 2, your program will parse plain text receipts that I have provided in the link inside of a zip file.
Okay.
Load the data into the database.
So we get to design the database any way we want, but we have to load up the receipts that you included.
Yes.
Okay.
So take a look at the receipts before you design your database.
Probably a good idea.
And then number 3, query the database for records that display the name of the person, the shipped to city and state, number of orders, piece total, subtotal, shipping tax, and total for all orders per person. There's only 2 people, so there's not going to be like a ton of data. But there's only 2 people. There's like 5 receipts maybe. And then there's going to be a number. Number 4 is just basically put those underneath a table of some kind. The header is going to be buyer, city, orders, items, subtotal, shipping, tax, and total.
Okay.
And they should be intelligible. Like you shouldn't have the buyer leaking into under the city header. Everything should be clear and easy to read.
Sure.
And that's it for the rules. I'm going to have a zip file.
Okay.
I'm going to publish this right now.
Sounds interesting. So there's actually going to be 2 elements to this. You actually need to write a program to parse stuff and put it into the database and pull it out.
Yeah, but we did parsing in the last one. People should get used to parsing.
Right, but the interaction with the database is going to be new. You're not just creating a database, you are inserting and pulling stuff from it.
Well, I just felt like doing database, there's 2 major parts: putting data in, getting data out. There's another major part, which is updating, and another major part would be deleting.
Sure.
But the major parts, the parts that I do the most in all of my work is inserting, querying, and updating, probably in about that order.
Okay.
Well, probably more querying than anything else. So querying, probably more updating, and inserting probably right behind that. But I didn't want to do updating for this, so I just figured just do 2 things, and they're very vital things to the database, and pretty much their purpose: storing data and retrieving the data.
Right, and updating is going to actually be a lot like creating, right, or adding.
It's a lot like adding, and a lot like querying. I mean, they're all essentially just queries. But yeah, just you would have a where clause, where whatever equals whatever. I prefer to use unique IDs. It's super easy that way for updates and deletes.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
Cool.
And then now we talk about our projects that we're working on.
All right. I have been working on all the live long day. I created this game outline. That was part of the stuff that I've been working on recently. I have also been working on a proposal paper for my final project in college.
What's that going to be?
What is it?
Yeah.
It is an application that will run any number of regular expressions against a line of code. So you could have 4 different regular expressions all running against a single line of code. And this is important to me because we deal with at my work, we deal with logs, and sometimes you don't want to or can't run get all of the data with a single regular expression. So we use multiple regular expressions to pull out all the data that we want, partly because of the ease of readability and partly because it increases performance. So yeah, I'm making a tool that will handle that specific use case where you need to run multiple regular expressions against a single line.
Nice. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've actually got a working prototype right now. It uses Java as a front end and Perl as a back end.
Nice. Did you try uploading it onto my server?
I have not. It is
worth running Perl in the background. I know there's a Perl backend. I don't know how to use it, but I'm not sure how it will let you run an exe.
It won't. It's not an executable. It's a jar file right now, but it will not run on the web. That's another thing. I work for a security company. Web apps are verboten, so we need to run all of this stuff locally on our boxes.
Oh, all right. So no worries there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see, what did I work on? Oh, did you work on No One Can Hear You?
I did not, but I do plan on getting some of that work done. I was actually looking at it before the podcast today, but I didn't have time.
So let's see what I was working on. Gears of Fate. I recorded my part of the promo. I was waiting on music. So, and this week I will work on getting that music into the promo and getting the promo done.
Okay, we've already got some. Actually, that was another thing we worked on. We did get some of the music done. We've got a few of the parts ready, and we're just building it piece by piece.
Pete and Matt all worked on Gears of Fate.
Yay!
Dev Pirates. I didn't do anything specifically for Dev Pirates last week. Didn't do anything. Fear and Loathing. We're supposed to be recording tomorrow night.
Right.
I did some work on Unify List. There were some errors. You couldn't update any of the items.
Oh.
So I figured that would probably mess up being able to use the site. So I fixed that.
Yeah. Do we have a link to that? Is that already up on the blog or anything? Are people able to use that?
Utify.com.
Okay.
utify.com. Yeah, I should probably put a link up onto Dev Pirates. Let's see. I started work on Endangered Kingdoms. I got my last person sketch. I think I'm gonna start working on modeling this week. I have to think about the logo a bit more. I also need to do the sketch of the main character's sword, because her sword, I think the sketches I have been doing on it make the sword look pretty cool. Sorry about that. And then for Ride, I actually started working on Ride again. We're gonna finish the last 9 levels, or 9 out of the 12 levels. The demo only had 3 levels. 1 zone, 3 levels. I'm doing the last 3 zones, which are 3 levels apiece.
Okay.
I designed all the enemies. I haven't got the levels done yet, but I designed all the enemies there in the design document. I started working on some of the enemies. I did a new guy that has like a shield that blocks normal attacks, but not missiles. Or if a bullet hits it from the top or the back, then it will still take damage. It's just the front has a shield. And then another guy, which is a sniper who changes positions. So he'll move up and down, and then take a shot, and then move, take a shot, and then move. Then the leper guy, the bigger robot guy. I did a version of him with a shield. So I got all those guys done, and that's like 3 out of the 11 enemies I have to do. That includes bosses.
Nice.
So I'm only gonna do 2 more basic enemies, and then I have to do a lot more bosses.
Okay.
So that's what I've been working on Ride. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to complete all of it. I'm working one at a time. It's a good thing that my code was pretty clean.
Yeah.
And decently commented, because after taking a break from a long time, it didn't take me too long to get back into it, even though I forgot pretty much how everything works. But that is the point of writing clean and manageable code.
Right. In fact, I just I finished reading a book called exactly that, Clean Code. And it talks about a lot of the stuff that you've already tried to instill in me, and that's descriptive names, comments, and trying to do as few things as possible, which means usually one inside each function.
I do a lot of things inside some functions. Like I have initialization function. I do a lot of things inside the initialization.
But that's doing one thing.
Well, I guess you can say that's doing initialization, but
yeah.
No.
Well, and
single responsibility principle guys, they don't consider that the same thing.
I do like the idea of, like, let's say you have sub functions inside that one function that each do different parts. Then all you have to do is manipulate the different parts if you find a problem.
Yeah, I think that's going too far. I agree somewhat with single responsibility, but you can go too far into making it take more time to manage, and that kind of defeats the purpose of clean code.
And I won't subscribe 100% to anything so that it becomes an ideology for programming. But I do think that as guidelines, these are things that you should aim for. Like, you should make your functions simple enough to read and understand in a few minutes, if you can.
Your function should do what it's named, and it shouldn't do things it's not named for. Like if you have a function called shoot, it shouldn't be recharging your shields.
Right. And it should also be doing as little as possible.
It should just shoot. That should be all it does.
Sure, but does that include, I don't know, managing the projectile afterwards or anything like that?
I don't think that it should.
You think it should just generate a bullet?
I think it should generate the bullet, and the bullet handles itself.
Okay, but would you have a separate function for, say, the direction?
I might. It depends. Like I have two different shoot functions. One of them just shoots in the direction the gun is already aimed, and then another one will just do an aimed shot.
Right.
That is where you pass in a target, and the bullet will go from that origin to that target.
Right. And so I'm just saying, you should try and split it up into things that you can just say in a sentence.
Yeah, but the aim function just chooses an angle and then passes that angle into the shoot function. Right.
So your shoot function is still doing one thing. It doesn't have to compute the angle.
No, but right. and the shoot aim function doesn't. It doesn't have to handle the shooting. It just handles the aiming.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also doesn't handle management for, like, if the bullet takes energy. That gets handled on the other side, on the ship side.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing. It's not something that comes easily. You have to make a lot of mistakes before you succeed.
And everyone's going to find their own line where they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So, but I think as long as everyone is aiming for simple functions that do as little as possible, I think that's good writing practice.
I think on that line, I think it's good to work with other people to actually see their code. Not because you can see code examples, but that's not the same thing as working with someone on the code.
Right. I agree. All right. Well, this has been Dev Pirates Radio.
Until next time. Or something.
So long and away.
Thanks for all the fish.